Hey there, welcome back to teckwrapcraft Vinyl's YouTube channel. Today we're going to be utilizing some heat transfer vinyl and some puff vinyl to make a fun Easter outfit for my daughter. If you've never worked with puff vinyl before, you're in for a real treat. It's a super fun material to work with, and once you get the settings right between your cutting machine and your heat press, you'll be in great shape to make some really awesome products. For this project, I'm going to be utilizing Cricut Design Space and my Cricut Joy machine, but you could do this with any cutting machine that you have that can cut heat transfer vinyl. I found this fun bunny image, but I also want to be able to cut out the tail in the puff vinyl, so I'm going to utilize a square and the slice feature, and then I'll just weld that extra square back into the bunny so that is all one piece with just the separate tail. I'll then resize the image to the size that I need for the shirt, and then I'm also going to add my daughter's name. Now, finding a font can be really tricky, especially if you're like me and you're really particular when it comes to font choices. And you'll notice that you have the ability to flag fonts that you like the best, so you can reference back to them later. I'm also going to add a small offset to the text to be able to slice it out of the bunny and give myself a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to being able to line up the puff vinyl over top of the heat transfer vinyl. I'm also going to attach the font to the tail so that they cut out in the proper alignment. And then I'll recolor for the color vinyls that I'm using, and then I'm going to mirror both of these images. Mirroring is a must when using heat transfer products. And these are the vinyls that I've chosen to use. This is a mirror chrome lilac heat transfer vinyl and a puff vinyl in white. You'll also notice that there's a shiny side and a dull side when it comes to this puff vinyl, and you'll want to be really mindful of which side you're going to lay down the vinyl on your mat. After I cut out the size material that I need of both my puff vinyl and my lilac mirror chrome, you'll also notice that the mirror chrome has a colored side and a silver side. So as I lay these down on my mat, I'm going to place them a shiny side down. So the purple side goes down, the gray side faces up when it comes to that mirror chrome vinyl, and then with the puff vinyl, I'm going to lay that one shiny side down as well. So the dull side should be facing up towards me and the shiny side stuck down to the sticky part of the mat. I'll then be careful to make sure that I get out all of the air bubbles so that things cut really well and really simply, utilizing my Tech Wrap squeegee tool to get out all of those air bubbles. Now, if you've ever used vinyl from Tech Wrap and had a protective layer you had to remove, the heat transfer and the puff vinyl do not have that. For the puff vinyl, I'm going to utilize glitter iron-on settings because that is a very thick material that will really help the Cricut Joy be able to cut through the puff vinyl. And now it's just a matter of cutting out my heat transfer vinyl. For this, I'm going to use everyday iron-on settings, being sure that both of these images were mirrored. And then it's just a matter of going through and weeding off all of the excess. I love weeding heat transfer vinyl because it's so easy to work with. You don't have to worry about the adhesive sticking back down to the mat, which just makes it so much more simple to weed. And this weeding tool from Tech Wrap makes really quick work of these really tiny, delicate pieces to be able to weed. Now we want to leave everything that we want to be pressed onto our shirt on this carrier sheet. And we'll be placing this purple side up or gray side against our material when we go to press it, which is why we make sure to mirror our images. The same goes with the puff vinyl, where we want to leave all of the material that we want to go onto our t-shirt on the carrier sheet and remove our excess. So the dull side that we had face up on our mat is going to go against our material, and the shiny side with the carrier sheet is going to be face up. You'll want to make sure that you weed all of those really tiny, delicate, tiny pieces out, because once they're pressed onto the shirt, it's really difficult to get these pieces back up again. I'll then peel our puff vinyl off of the mat and kind of visually line it up with the mirror chrome purple to make sure that things cut out the way that I need them to and they're going to layer well. And I can already tell this is going to be such a cute project. So now we move on to the heat transfer process. On the inside of the label from the heat transfer vinyl, you'll find instructions for not only your cutting settings, but also your heat temperatures and how long to press your materials. Because I've already pre-washed my garment, I'm going to utilize a lint roller and make sure that there is no lint or any kind of dirt or dust left behind on my shirt because I wouldn't want to press that into the shirt. It also might affect how my vinyl is going to stick. You'll also want to make sure you don't use any fabric softeners or things like that when you're washing your garments because that can affect how the heat transfer will stick to your material as well. I like to make sure that my shirt is nice and flat without being too stretched out, and I'm going to just kind of visually line this up. You can also get shirt rulers to be able to line your products up really well. But you'll want to make sure that you preheat your shirt just to remove any moisture from it to help your vinyl to stick much better. I preheated mine at 275 for 10 seconds. I'll then be sure to line up my vinyl really well. You can fold the carrier sheet in half to be able to get the right alignment. I'm then going to add my Teflon sheet to protect my material from getting overheated. If you don't have a Teflon sheet, that's okay. You can totally utilize parchment paper or a similar material. I'm then going to press my mirror chrome according to the instructions at 275 for 10 seconds. You'll want to make sure that you do a cold peel, which means that you wait for the material to cool down completely before trying to peel up the carrier sheet. It can be really hard to be patient, especially if you have another layer to press, but waiting the full time for it to cool off is really super important for making sure that your material turns out as well as it possibly can. You'll then carefully but firmly peel up that carrier sheet and get ready for your next layer. Now, the puff vinyl can be a little bit difficult to figure out how to work with. And if you don't get it right the first couple of times, it's totally okay. Just keep going, keep trying, keep adjusting your different settings on your heat press or the time or the pressure to be able to get it right. I like to keep a little notebook of the different settings that I've tried, and just know that someone else's settings for the same type of heat press may not be exactly what yours needs. So after I've lined up my puff vinyl and added on my Teflon sheet, I'm going to heat this for 15 seconds at 320 degrees. I'm also applying medium pressure, but I think this probably could have used a little bit more pressure. But again, just play around with your settings and see what works for you. I'm also going to wait for this to kind of cool down a bit because I have reheated that mirror chrome. And the puff vinyl is just so fun. It raises up off of the shirt and gives a really fun texture, which is absolutely perfect for this little bunny tail. This turned out super cute, and I can't wait to see my daughter wearing it for her very first Easter egg hunt. And be sure to subscribe for more.